He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Hi, this is comedian and depressed alcoholic James Nokise, and you're listening to Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower, a podcast about headspace and happiness. From my safe space, the shower, with fried chicken. This episode, I'm talking to television and radio broadcaster Jono Pryor. We'll talk about the effects of suicide.
The amount of people in this country who have been affected by suicide, you would be hard-pressed to find one person that hasn't.
The effects of drinking. Can you drink and do breakfast radio? It's probably not recommended.
I have done afternoon radio, and I can tell you can do drinking and radio at the same time. Not good radio.
And the effects of losing your job.
New Zealand on air, like, we've funded this thing for a long period of time.
We need to stop that and give the money to the people with fried chicken in the shower. I apologize, bro.
Now, this is quality broadcasting.
Some of this will get a bit real. The language, the subjects. So make sure you're in a safe space with your comfort food. And join us, eating fried chicken in the shower. Hi, and welcome to Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower. My name's James Nokise, and today I have Jono Pryor.
James, what an honour to be here, mate. What an honour.
Thank you for coming into my shower, brother.
Yeah, this is an odd combination of two things I really enjoy, but have never put them together.
Look, I'll be honest, I had never put them together myself until my breakdown, and then I can't believe I didn't put it together before.
Yeah, because we're in the Eden Park toilets here.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Well, look, if you're going to have a shower, go big.
Go big. And
that's what I say.
I just keep looking down at that drain going, how many famous hairs? How many famous hairs are sitting down there?
Look, there's a lot of godlike DNA in this building, mate. So what I'm saying is our chicken is blessed today.
Yeah, would you because it's a big open, we're in a big open shower thing, there's probably like 30 here.
Yeah.
Would you be a full naked shower guy in the All Blacks, or would you?
If the All Blacks were there?
Yeah, so as part of a team, because I don't know, I think I'd be cowered in the corner.
I feel like, do you know what? I think a while back I would have been cowered in the corner, but I think as you get older, there is that part of your brain that goes, you only live once.
That's right.
And you've got to, especially if we all had chicken.
Yeah.
Like if we have, and I'm not pitching anything Radio New Zealand, but I am. But if we had the entire All Blacks team naked in the shower eating fried chicken, I mean, that's...
Yeah, well, because you're amongst so many sculpted bodies that you're like, who cares?
Exactly. Yeah. As long as when you reach down, you're grabbing chicken, you're safe. It's fine.
So you had a breakdown and ended up in a shower.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Eating fried chicken.
And that's how the show came about. I was just sitting at my mate came and got me because he saw me. We caught up for a coffee. And he just took one look at my face. You know when you got your close mates. And he was like, bro, why don't you, let's go get your Xbox and get some clothes, and you come live on my couch for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I'll just hang out with you when I'm not at work. And we did that, and then we were just eating comfort food, and his partner was away, so it was just me and him chilling out, playing some Xbox. Then we got some KFC, and got some popcorn chicken, and I was like, man, I need to have a shower, but I want to finish this chicken. Maybe I'll just take this chicken in the shower. Half an hour later, I came out and went, bro, I've just discovered something genius. And ever since, I'm just like, every now and then, I'm just like, you know what, I might just grab some chicken.
Does now the logistics always, so the shower's running, obviously.
Yeah.
Was the chicken getting wet? Because I imagine...
Nah, see, number one question asked, how do you keep the chicken dry? Just put it outside, bro. Or if you've got a shower that's a bathtub as well, just put it. How powerful is your shower that it's filling up the whole bath area?
I see. So you're not like sitting there with the bucket as the water's coming down. I see. You're picking as you choose.
I always say if you can have your Android phone in the shower, you can have fried chicken in the shower. It's the same dry patch.
I used to smoke, and I'm not proud of this.
Yeah.
And there were times that I was smoking cigarettes and showering at the same time.
Oh yeah. When I drank, I used to take a morning beer into the shower.
Would you drink beer in the morning?
Yeah.
How much piss were you drinking a day?
Well, I mean, I was an alcoholic. I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the other thing. When they found out I was an alcoholic, they were like, "How much do you drink?" And I told them like, "Oh yeah, no, you won't." I said, "What do you mean? That's normal."
What are you drinking a day?
Like 2 bottles of wine.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, from first thing in the morning?
No. I'd have a beer in the morning if I was going to drink.
Yeah. Well, you got to ease into it, don't you?
You got to ease into it.
So let's crack a sav first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and then you have the second bottle. You have the first bottle of wine sort of early evening as you're warming into the gig, maybe at the gig, and then after the gig, when you get home, you have the second bottle of wine to unwind. So by the time,
I suppose in your industry, as a comedian, you're out at night. there's clubs.
Yeah.
You know, it's a social setting, isn't it? So I can see how people in
Whereas
your
I
industry
think
would develop
your
issues.
industries, because you do TV and radio, and the occasional corporate thing,
MC gig.
where we've met on
Exactly.
occasion. It's the drinking is more. I mean, can you drink and do breakfast radio? It's probably not recommended.
Well,
is it?
no. Well, I have done afternoon radio, and I can tell you can do drinking and radio at the same time. Not good radio, but
Yeah.
No, it's a funny one, but the same thing. The industry is social, and I don't mind drinking and stuff, but I'd say it's probably got a bit of a problem with drinking the industry. Media in general.
Yeah, media in general. Like, so drinking and TV can be a little bit fun. I mean, those are the old stories, I think, especially for someone like you who hosts it. Like, there's all those old kind of, same with comedy, romanticized stories about, back in the day, they get on TV and they were half cut.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Oh, how Blackie was hoovering cocaine and doing his radio show. You hear about the glory days. What was the other thing? I had another great point, and I've completely forgotten it.
That's what happens when you drink, mate.
Yeah, this is the problem. That's what I was going to say. Do you find your stand-up now is better now that you're sober?
Yeah, and my brain is sharper, but for a while there, and I think that's what people don't talk about, there was some lag.
Yeah, I can imagine the transition, because you were like, well, this would have been a lot more enjoyable, I think, in your head, drunk.
Yeah, and your brain, you got to build new neuropaths. So your brain slows down, and that's terrifying, because you're like, oh no, you've seen the Hollywood films, you go, oh, this is the part where I've done permanent damage and I'm never gonna, and it just takes time. I think that's the main thing people don't tell you about that kind of stuff. Any sort of trauma, it takes time.
I always thought drinking would be a lot harder to stop than maybe drugs, because drinking, in particular in New Zealand, it's ingrained, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you, for a while, did you shut yourself off and go out to social occasions and things, or?
I'd leave early.
Yeah.
That would be my thing. I'd leave early. But I was very fortunate, for all of the stereotypes about comedy. I told every comedy booker that I work with that I've been diagnosed an alcoholic, that I had to stop drinking, and every single one, no one challenged me. Everyone was supportive.
Isn't that good?
Some people started this real cute stocking sparkling grape juice because they knew I like to drink wine. So I'd still be able to have a cup of red something in a glass. It was real cheesy, but it's
that's good. Well, that's good that the industry was supportive of you.
Yeah, I mean, well, we cross over in the industry a bit as well, and you've got the persona of a party boy. Would that be fair to say, man? Like, the way that you're seeing, it's Jono and the Jono show.
Yeah. I'm the complete opposite, to be honest. In real life, I pretty much, my dream weekend would be sitting at home, mowing the lawns with the kids. I hate to say this in front of you, probably having a beer, mowing the lawns. And I just lead a very, very quiet life. Like Ben, who I work with, always jokes, he's like, you're a hermit. You just never go out.
Some of my friends who are quite famous, and you're quite, especially in New Zealand.
Very low level.
No, I'd say you're LMP level.
Yeah,
LMP.
Yeah, there's a few letters above me on the alphabet. Yeah.
But I mean, definitely you got that Whitakers level fame going on. Like if you were like traveling in London and Kiwis went, that's Jono, man. That's the
guy. That's the guy from the thing. Yeah, that's what you usually get.
No, I think that's my fame level in New Zealand. Like, hey, you're the guy from the thing.
Walked into a.
You're like New Zealand Prince. You got like the one name basis going on. It's you and Lord.
Beyonce, Lord, and myself.
And Jono.
Yeah, that's right. That's the three. I walked into. I was picking something up for my wife the other day from a hair salon, obviously not for myself. But I walked in and the guy's like, oh my God. It's the guy from the Genesis Power commercials. And I'll take that. That was great. It probably pays very well.
Yeah, wow, man. Is there a bit of pressure when you become like a face? Like, because that's the other reason I come back to your fame is that your particular one was you were a face of a TV station. You're like, when they did the advert for TV3, you're one of the faces that they've got up front.
I think it's the sole reason why TV3 are in such strife now from that business decision. I was like, this is a bad call, guys, but anyway, we'll roll with it.
Or is it just like, this is great?
It's great. At the time you're writing it, you're enjoying the high, and you're just turning up to work, and you're just like, you're on this crazy treadmill that never stops, and you don't really take time to think about it too much. I guess for me, the longer I've been doing the job, you're probably more aware of decisions that I wouldn't go out to a bar and get plastered now, and I wouldn't go and do dicky things in public just because I think that can affect maybe your employment situation. I think I'm just more aware of that. There's a lot more to lose, especially with the family and stuff now. That if I go and have a blowout in town on a Saturday night, then it could potentially jeopardise your employment and your income. And it was such a slow little build up to the show that we're doing on TV3 anyway, because it started on C4, which is the music TV station.
Right. Yeah.
So sort of started there, and it kind of slowly eventually bloomed into what we were doing on 3.
You seem pretty at peace with all that went down. I know it's 18 months ago when you
with
guys,
the show ending.
Yeah, with the show ending.
Yeah, no, it was. How would I describe it? So it ended, but then all that while building up to the end, there's people there's all this fanfare, there's a petition, keep it on, so you're not actually really digesting the fact that the thing was going to stop. And then I guess the show ended, and that following week you're like, we don't have to go and do that during the day now. So I think it was probably the right time for the show to end, and it was there was a lot boring funding stuff. New Zealand on there were like, we've funded this thing for a long period of time.
We need to stop that and give the money to the people with fried chicken in the show. I apologise, bro.
Now this is quality broadcasting, but I think it was the right time for the show to end. We did, in all honesty, Ben and me probably were quite lost last year for the first 3 or 4 months, just going, well, you've had this thing for such a long time, and there's been all this structure to your day and to your career, and you sort of know where you're heading and stuff, and that's all gone. So from a professional point of view, it was a bit of a reset to do. And for the first 3 months, oh God, what are we going to do? Where to next? But in hindsight, it was wonderful. It was such a pleasure and a gift to be able to step back and evaluate your career, where you're heading next, which you don't actually have you're not fortunate enough to have the time to do when you're actually in the middle of the storm, on the treadmill, so to speak. It's been awesome, and
Oh, cool.
My family's probably very sick of me now. I spend too much time at home.
Well, tell me what chicken you've brought to the shower today, my friend.
Now, this is American chicken.
All right.
And I chose American chicken because I was born in Seattle.
Really?
My old man was in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
Mum and him went up there.
Yeah.
Obviously do,
I
came out, so got the US passport. Should have voted in the election. My friend Alice Snedden, who was a writer on our show, she was always bitterly disappointed that I never voted in the Trump election. She blames me for the fact
she can lay that at your feet.
She's pinned that on me. So this is.
Well,
do we plug the place or?
By all means, man. By all means. I think we're allowed to. And you know what? We'll edit it out if we can't.
Yeah.
Well, whose chicken is this?
This is from Bird on a Wire.
Oh, good.
So you must have tried a lot of chicken now, James.
I have indeed, sir. I have indeed.
Oh, yeah.
They're good.
It reminds me. You were talking before the popcorn chicken.
Yeah. Oh,
Reminds me of KFC popcorn chicken.
But like gourmet.
Do you know, I had a shocking chicken.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
I cooked chicken on the barbecue once. I'm not allowed chicken. Chicken's been banned from my house.
Oh, really?
I cooked chicken on the barbecue once, and I didn't cook it well enough, and I gave myself Campylobacter poisoning. And that is the most horrific time in your life. You think you're getting better, but then it just kicks up another gear.
Oh, really?
And it goes on for like 4 days.
And what are you doing? Like just constantly on the toilet, just crapping yourself?
You can't do anything. You can't eat. You're just like lying in bed.
Oh, man.
My wife was like, we're never cooking chicken on the barbecue. Went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, we should not actually cook chicken on the barbecue because you can't actually get the plate to a level of heat that can kill the bacteria.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a common mistake New Zealanders make is putting chicken on the barbie.
I feel there should be more of a public health
There
campaign
should be.
about
I thought
that.
so too.
I'm thinking like every Kiwi I know is like, yeah, bro, come round, we'll cook some chicken.
Yeah. He was like, he doesn't even eat it.
No.
He was so scared of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so tell me about the time in your life when you're leading up to eating chicken in a shower.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever gone back to that period in your life mentally?
It's a very good question.
And what do you do now to work your way through it?
I haven't gone back. That particular one, what I do as part of my process of getting through mental stuff is I create. So I create work. This is a part of that, this kind of work, but also with my stand-up, sometimes with theatre, other creative outlets, to help my brain process what I've been through, because as I find a way to explain it to other people, I'm able to better explain it to myself.
Yeah.
So I haven't gone back to that particular mental place because I know where it is.
Yeah.
But I have been on the path to that place and been able to red flag it. And I've established a support network of mates and also with my partner and even people I work with. I'm very open about my mental health with people I work with so that I can say, hey, this is happening, and we catch it early. So it's not, I think sometimes, especially with men, we treat mental injuries like physical injuries, and we forget that, like, once you've torn a muscle, it's torn. So you're always going to have a little bit of a tear there, so you're always vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I haven't been back there, but that's only because I'm very aware of what led to that place.
I can imagine the amount of work it takes to actually pull yourself out of that dark hole. And I think probably a lot of people might try and search for the quick fix, not get a result, and head back to where they were. Whereas actually, having known a few people that have gone through mental health issues, the journey to actually this point that you're at now, where you can red flag things, it's a long road. Hey.
It is, man. It's like it's one of those things where I'm very lucky that I had a very strong counsellor, which again is something, especially Kiwi men, when it comes to how are you feeling, or like they were prepared to do a 3-hour session with me to really knock it down. Yeah. I'm always thankful for that. And that was a government program. That was Narcotics Anonymous that I was in.
When you don't do it, you don't go through with killing yourself. What are you thinking straight afterwards?
That's a really interesting question, man. That's a great question. Well, both my times were different. So I can say to you that the first time I was embarrassed because my friend walked in on me. And he stopped me, and that was with blades. That was a different one. But also as the night went on, relief and sadness and letting the moment pass and letting the trauma wash through me with a lot of alcohol.
Yes, I need to get rid of this.
That's good, buddy. We drank and we cried and he cried, and that was good. And there was we hugged and we ate fried chicken.
Yeah, good.
The second time was a lot different. The second time was mental exhaustion, and that involved a bus. And so I didn't fail as much as the bus worked.
Right.
And that was a numbness. And then I had to get on a plane.
Straight away?
I was on my way to the airport, bro. So it was and I had an asthma attack because my body went into shock. And so I had an asthma attack and then got on this plane and then was just mentally tired.
And so after that, obviously there's people around.
Yeah.
Are they like, okay, mate, we'll get on, have a good day, or are the police called? Or
no, it's London, bro. So people just swore at me, and then people were like, no one wanted to get involved. And so I just kind of...
You left on your own?
Left on my own. So just got on the tube, went to Heathrow Airport. The wonderful staff at Air New Zealand never asked questions, but saw this frazzled kind of thing going up, so made sure I was okay. Got me on the flight, and I just kind of slept and was numb. And then when I got home, by the time I got home, I'd made people aware of what had happened. So I didn't try and hide it because, and I didn't try and repeat it. I recognized it as a moment. But by the time I got home, people were there to help me and to, sort of take me and grab me and make sure I was safe. But it was strange. Like even now, when I think back to that time, I just feel tired. And that particular one, I always tell people, my two ones were very different because the first one involved a lot of drugs and alcohol and trauma and self-blame. The second one was a lot of mental exhaustion. because people think suicide is a straightforward, you feel bad and then you feel real bad and then you do something. But actually there's a lot of different pathways. And again, it's just an extreme way of dealing with a whole bunch of things.
Were you, I guess, at what point were you relieved that you didn't do it? Was that a day after, 2 days after, a week after?
I don't think I can tell you. I mean, sitting in the shower eating chicken, I was pretty relieved.
Yeah. This is what life's about.
That's what life's about.
Eating fried chicken in the shower. Don't stress about how you got here. Just relax and enjoy.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can tell you the moment if there was a moment of relief. I think it was just more working your way out of a hole, And so now that I'm out of the hole, and I can breathe, and I can enjoy the sun, I can see it all. It feels good. But
well, you sharing stories like that and being so open about your journey will be helping people, dude. Honestly.
Well, look, man, I feel privileged to do it, but if I can pay you a compliment, and I mean this, it's a lot easier for me when did I do the show on it? In 2019, to come to New Zealand and do a show about this journey because of something like what you did on TV. And I'm not complimenting you because you're my guest. I mean that very wholeheartedly.
Oh, thank you.
The thing you did on TV, for our listeners who don't know, this man went on TV and talked very openly about your friend who took his life and your process of that. And that's big because that opens the door for people to feel they can talk about it.
Yeah. That was a crazy time. He'd been going through some stuff, Tim, my friend, and in hindsight, like hearing about your mates and what they did for you, we could have been far better, But a lot of the stuff we didn't even know was going on, There was a lot of medication that wasn't being taken that needed to be taken. And yeah, I remember the call on the Friday night. Our friend found him. That week was just a crazy roller coaster, but it was in the time that TV was on, so we're in this constant.
Got to go to work.
This live show's happening on Thursday. So I sort of emailed Ben and Bronny, my boss at the time, sort of said what had happened on the Friday, and obviously being like, you just do whatever you need to do, take as much time off as you need, and I was a lot of it was like actually not wanting to take time off and think about it. It was like keep going. And so obviously there was a lot of catch-ups with friends and stuff before the funeral, which was on the Thursday. I remember the night before at my mate's house and just reminiscing and stuff, and my mate Baz actually said, he was like, are you working tomorrow? Are you doing the TV show tomorrow? Because at this stage it was live. And I was like, yeah. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, if there's any reason to take a day off. And I was like, oh yeah, I just kind of feel like I need to do it. So then he was like, well, if you're going to do it, you should say something. And it kind of sat with me, overnight. And I sort of got up like 4 a.m. and emailed Ben and Bronny, and I was like, hey, end of the show, if you don't mind, I'd love to just say something about this. And they were, again, very supportive. And so I went to the funeral all Thursday, went straight from the wake to the TV studio.
Oh my God.
Did the show. It was a crazy day.
Yeah.
Did the show and did the message at the end.
Yeah.
And then I went back directly from there back to the wake that night. And then my mate Baz, the same guy, he was like, did you do the thing?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he was like, how'd it go? I was like, oh, fuck, I cried. It was a bit of a shambles, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, okay. And we just had a beer.
Yeah.
And the next morning we woke up and it had turned into this thing. So, yeah, that's kind of how it all rolled out. And, following that, people reach out to you and email you and message you and phone you and stuff. And I guess the eye-opening thing was the amount of people in this country who have been affected by suicide.
Yeah.
You would be hard-pressed to find one person that hasn't got a story about it, which is shocking. And when I think about it now, is there's a message out there at the moment, which is, ask your friends if they're okay, which is awesome. But I think beyond that, if you know something is wrong with someone and you are helping them, but is there it gets to the point where you're like, well, this person just does not want to help themselves or get better, what is the advice that would be given to friends and family in that situation? Because something like that could go on for 2 or 3 years, where you're trying to help someone, but at the end of the day, they kind of need to help themselves, don't they? Or want to help themselves.
I think there's that. I remember getting some really beautiful advice from mental health advocate Mike King.
Yeah.
Who we had a mutual friend who was just on a downward spiral, and he said, we're just going to have to be there when they hit rock bottom. You can't
stop the fall.
No, and all you do is, and again, these are the wonderful things that my dear friend Sabja Hell will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you've got to be aware of your own mental health. And you've got to be aware of how much can be spent on your friends, and if you're able to give of yourself, because you can make things worse. We want to help our friends, but we don't, and we have processes where we think we're helping. I think maybe you're parents, and I think parents maybe have this trouble with their kids sometimes, is that you want to help, and you feel like if you don't help, then you're being bad, but actually you might not be able to help. I'm telling my parents about my suicide attempts, and my dad's just like...
Were they just heartbroken?
No, not heartbroken, actually. A real beautiful thing was I talked to my mum about it, and it turned out my mum had tried when she was young, and there's mental health issues in my family, which only came about because I was talking about it. Now, my dad was a different kettle of fish, but he wasn't angry. He was just he needed to talk to me about his trauma of discovery of the thing. So what I'm saying is there's a mental weight to the people who are around the person.
Oh yeah, you can see that sort of thing taking its toll.
Have you experienced that weight? Is that like the way you talked about your friend before when you said there's more we could have done? Is that... Are you still dealing with it? Because it's only a couple of years ago,
yeah, it's only
right?
a couple of years ago. Well, you do think about it, it comes up quite a bit, but you're like, I'm just kind of like, what could you have done? That's probably what you're left with, friends and family are left with when, someone does pass. What could you have done? Or anything you tried to do, would that even change anything? Would that change the course? I'm not saying give up on people.
No, not at all.
It's just kind of like, I don't know what the advice is. When you just gave great advice, actually, with Mike King's, like, you do. I think eventually, when someone realises, shit, this is my rock bottom, because you can watch people and go, surely that's the rock bottom. Nope. Surely that's the rock bottom. No. Keep going down. You're like, what? Where does this stop? Where does the point,
I think the other thing I always say to people is, I'm not a specialist. I'm a dude in a shower eating chicken. We have a specialist who we get in partly so that people have a pathway to go. They can bother Saab if they want to get answers. I'm just here to share experiences. Eat chicken with that. But I'm not an expert, but there are experts, in different forms of mental health, and I think part of the New Zealand journey is encouraging people like you've done, to reach out to specialists. It's just, to borrow a clunky sports metaphor, it's just a different kind of coach, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have a very sunny demeanour, my friend.
A sunny demeanour?
Sunny demeanour.
Oh, really? Because I'm dead inside.
Is that what it is? But, where's that come from? Honestly, the things you've gone through, what I think is very impressive, and what I think impresses a lot of people is the way you keep your head up. Even when you're crying, you keep, you have a lightness. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. No, my mum and dad are nice, positive people, I guess. I'm always like, I always feel very blessed to be doing the job that I'm doing, because it's a dream job, pretty much. And it's something I always wanted to do since I was a child. So I'm like, even when you're having a shitty day at work, you're like, you could be doing a far worse job right now.
Yeah, right.
Things could be far worse.
Beats digging a hole.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with digging a hole. It's a very noble job.
It probably actually pays better than radio and TV, to be honest. I just can't do it. I don't have the muscle strength.
But do you with your friend dying, it's extreme, but do you have dark days, dark weeks?
I think, and I think everyone does, Yeah, there's certainly days where you're like, ugh, just not feeling on top of it or in a shitty mood and stuff. I have a lot of those. My wife, I'm really impressed with the way she's raising our children, which makes it sound like I'm never there.
You're out on the lawn.
Yeah, I'm on the lawn drinking beer.
Yeah.
I mean, the lawn's not going to mow itself. But one thing I'm really impressed with her with what she's sort of teaching our kids, and I've sort of jumped on the bandwagon too, is telling them if they feel bad, just feel it.
Yeah, cool.
If they feel shitty, cry, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think, and it was actually after something I'd said to them. My daughter was crying. I was like, don't cry. And she's like, no, let her cry. Let her do her thing,
right.
you know? And I think that's really important because a lot of New Zealand's upbringing certainly would have been suppress that emotion. Don't feel sad, don't you know? Get back out there. So yeah, I'm really, I think, they're sort of very, comfortable in their own skin now, our kids.
Silence, stillness, is that your jam? Like, are you good in there, or do you get like?
Yeah, no, I am. Yeah, I don't mind spending time on my own. It's just, I guess, when you become a parent, that time becomes less and less. You know, you always got somewhere to go or something to do. But yeah, I don't mind being alone. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too. I'm a lot better now. But yeah, again, I'm not a parent, but I am from the Pacific community, so you're never quite alone.
Yeah.
Although this job can be very lonely. The one thing I think, and I wonder if you're the same with your friends and peer group, the one thing comedians who travel get good at is touching base, because otherwise you're in a hotel room for anywhere between 2 to 10 days.
Yeah.
You get like cabin fever.
I imagine.
Sometimes you're in a country where you're not allowed to leave the hotel, so you are literally in the room. And that can be that isolation and loneliness. So we touch base, like, meet up regularly. And
that probably doesn't happen as much, mainly because I'm not that social, but in our end, because we, for the most part in New Zealand. But I imagine when you're traveling the world doing your gig, that you would have to keep in contact. There's probably people that you're like, I probably would usually never contact this person, but because we're doing the same job and we're on the other side of the world.
Absolutely. You find yourself going, I really am offended by everything that you stand for, and your comedy is the complete opposite. And I think we've had several fights online, but you want to get a coffee, bro?
I just need human-to-human contact.
Human-to-human contact.
And that's how you end up sitting next to a Nazi.
yeah. It's like, has that ever been a problem you've had, mate? But the other thing I try and do is when I'm home and I catch up with my older boys, the guys I grew up with. Yeah. Is we're a bit more open now.
Yeah, that's great.
Are you finding that in the wake of your public thing? It's like that you and your mates can be more open talking about it, or is it sort of
No, we definitely. To be completely honest, for a time period directly after, absolutely. Yeah. But I guess life, you kind of just get back to life, and those conversations are. The time between them is more, but certainly it brought us a lot closer together, and we were having chats and conversations that we'd never had before.
That's cool.
Yeah, following that. That sort of takes, I think, any relationship to another level when you start having those chats.
Yeah. And so, is it still easy to drop back into those conversations? Like, even if you're not having them as regularly, like, is the door open now? Like,
because you've had them before, it's not. Yeah. Where's this thing coming from, Like, it's, it's a dialogue that has happened, so it's not.
Do you know the thing me and my boys we struggle with, but we try hard to, like, we actively think about it, is we'll finish I love you, bro. It's like, yeah, I love you too. And it's only difficult in English. Like, we can say it in Samoan or even in today. Oh, Alahanui, bro. Oh, Alahanui, my brother. But it's just like, I love you,
cooler.
Bro. Yeah, it sounds way cooler.
Yeah. In English, like, oh, okay. Thanks, I guess.
I love you too. I've got to go, mate. I've got to.
Eating fried chicken in the shower. If you need practice saying, I love you, try telling the chicken.
If I can share something with you, though, you were talking about, your kids get to an age where they discover the iPad and all that. I've described my headspace like an iOS system, like a Windows thing. And so I'm always when talking about driving home, when I'm on my way home, I'm conscious of how many windows I've got open. Does that make sense?
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You know? And I try and make
Do the
sure.
double taps.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Because you know how when you got your computer, if you've got too many windows open, everything slows down and crashes. That's the metaphor I use.
It's a great metaphor.
Yeah. So it's because I know exactly what you mean.
So you have to shut down the windows.
I have to shut down.
You have
and
to
I'll
go through that process.
And I'll do things. And sometimes it means me actually opening up my laptop and physically shutting down.
It's like, geez, I've got 33 windows open here.
Yeah, and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that thing of, and you go, oh man. And I go, oh, actually, I did have a lot of things I was trying to do at once. And I'm trying to now cram my thinking about that before I get home.
Yeah.
Because, it's... I don't have kids, but I've got a relationship, and when I get in, I want it to be present.
Yeah.
You've got a car, don't you?
A car?
I
had an old Kingswood, yeah.
Yeah. I just remember the
Yeah, no, I had a very old King's Cheese. I would have had that 15 years or so. But eventually I realised that I had no mechanical skills. And my mechanic just bought a house in Herne Bay, I think, with the amount of money that I was paying. But no, I was got my claim to fame for the Kingswood was Taika sticking his genitals in my exhaust pipe, and him taking a photo and sending it. I was like, wow, life doesn't get any better than this.
No,
I could really haunt him right now with that photo, couldn't I?
Absolutely.
I could have a lot of explaining to do in Hollywood.
I mean, you're definitely getting yourself into the next Thor film if you want. See, pick a film. It's a real cultural iconic moment there.
There it is, yeah.
The history of New Zealand culture is when Taika stuck his balls in Jono's exhaust
It was
pipe.
literally him going, nah. He got someone to take the photo as well. So he was like, he did all the creative work on the shoot too. It was in the car park of TV3.
Yeah.
I was I was impressed, the amount of steps that he had to go through to actually end up in this position.
Well, he's got an Oscar now, so
He's got an Oscar,
obviously
yeah.
his instincts must be strong there.
Yeah.
Bro, is there anything, I ask this of every guest, is there anything else you want to share in the shower? Anything else you want to talk about? I'm enjoying this conversation, man.
It's been fun.
Is there anything you want to talk about?
No, I just, listen, if I started talking, I'd just be making stuff up. I feel like I've really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your openness about your journey.
That's all right, man.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been fun.
The only thing I'd say to you, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation to the one you had, is just remember suicide is a very intimate thing. In the end, there are people who self-harm, and that's different, and that's very much a cry for help.
The self-harmers.
Yeah. That can be very much,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not. Sometimes self-harm's to do with completely different things. But if someone's made that choice and they've hit that point and they're going for it, there's nothing. If you're not physically there, there's nothing you could have done.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can, and that weight's not yours to carry.
Like the thing with we'll go back to Tim. I'm always like, did you regret it straight after it happened? You always wonder that. Never know.
I've had friends who've taken their life, and when I find out the details and that, some of them I go, I don't know, and some of them I go, no, that was absolutely, like some of my friends, bless them over the years, and this isn't just because this is the arts thing. I think arts people can be emotionally vulnerable. Some of them are so. You get real gallows humor. You're like, well, I wish you planned some of your shows with the kind of detail that you planned this, brother. But there's that thing of the only other thing I'd say to you is, I'm glad that you're figuring out your own head, bro.
Yeah,
that's good as well, and I hope that helps in people coming to you and telling your stories, because that's a side effect of me touring a show where I talk about this stuff. Is people get in touch. Email, they'll tweet at you or, hit you up after a show, and they're like, I want to thank you. I want to tell you about this thing that happened with me, and you go, oh, okay, I think I can listen to this.
But that's heavy in itself. I always think about a very dear friend of mine, Bryce, works for another radio station. He's done a few things for mental health, and he's just like, man, the stories you get is heavy. And I always think about someone like Mike King. Yeah. Who's obviously the the bastion of mental health advocacy in New Zealand. Like,
But he'll
the stuff he must be hearing every day from people.
And if you look at his work, and it's something I've learned, something I recommend to you, brother, is you got to know your limit, because Mike will tap out.
Yeah, you'd have to.
He'll go offline. He'll take space. Someone who's been in the shower, Rob Mokarako, is an amazing story. He's a mental health advocate. He also says, know your limit, step away, heal yourself, because it's got weight. Everyone's story has weight. Everyone's trauma has weight. It's the same thing. I'm very glad that we do this show, and you can come in. But we're just doing 8 episodes a season, if that's all right, everybody.
Yeah, no, I understand that, because I think about Mike a lot. And I'm like, geez, man, he must just be like hearing some heavy shit every day. He would not walk down the road without one person coming up to him and sharing a story. I wouldn't imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, and are you still getting people in touch with you?
Not as much, to be honest. But there was there were months there where and there was one story, a farmer actually emailed, and he was like, man, I was literally about to do that, and I saw that on TV, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh, bro.
That was a moment where I was like, man, we're blessed to do this job, and it's an honour that you can use it. I mean, we've used the platform for douchebaggy pranks for a large part of it.
Yeah.
But there's also that side where you're like, well, it's a privileged position to be in, to be able to get important messages across to people. So that was one. Yeah, that was one that really hit home.
Well, that's I mean, that's a good
that's
one,
cool.
man. That's
cool.
Sometimes. Well, I guess that's the other side. Sometimes you're there and you don't even know you're there.
Yeah.
Sometimes people.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, pleasure hanging out with you, James.
You too,
It was
man.
awesome, bro.
Thanks, Jono. Thanks for the corretto and the chicken.
Yeah, thanks for the chicken. This is good chicken.
Yeah. Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower was produced for RNZ by Charlie Bleakley and Fruit and Nuts Limited, and presented by me, James Nokise. The engineer was Blair Stagpool. The executive producers for RNZ were Justin Gregory and Tim Watkin. Subscribe to our podcast however you just found this podcast. Or, if you're listening on the radio, go to RNZ's podcast page and look for the chicken. And when you rate us, only give us 5 stars. Remember, more stars, more chicken. And if you want to share your safe space or comfort food, tweet me at James Nokise. If you need support, text 1737. Or for more resources on mental health, check the Fried Chicken webpage at rnz.co.nz. If you're experiencing COVID-19 related mental health issues, go to health.govt.nz and search for COVID-19 mental health and wellbeing resources. We'll also link to it on the RNZ page. Whaftai lava, matewa.